Heaven's California.
Yo guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another video. It is another Overwatch video today. I haven't just got the webcam, I've actually got some footage that I am going to be showing to you guys. And today we're going to be stripping it right back to the basics. What do I mean by that? Well, we're going to be talking about, basically, what I plan to do is make a few guides on maybe how to play some characters, what you should, what you shouldn't be doing in comp. Now, these guides are only going to be specific to comp. Click play an arcade, I will give you free roam. You can do whatever the hell you want. If you want to go and play DPS Ana or DPS Mercy, then that is fine. You can go and play Symmetra, but as long as you're not playing Symmetra in competitive, that's all that matters. But I'm sorry, Symmetra. We all love Symmetra, okay? We love Symmetra. But today we're going to be starting off these guides with why people choose to play DPS in competitive. Now, I'm going to start off talking about why people want to play DPS and why some people don't want to play DPS. But unfortunately for DPS, there's a lot more reasons for why people want to compared to why they don't want to. So we're going to start off with why they would want to. First reason being, DPS is the most rewarding character type or hero type in the game. So in Overwatch we have DPS, we have tanks, and we have support. And it's quite clearly obvious to say that the DPS role is a lot more popular than the other two, as we'll all be very aware of if you are a regular competitive player. Now, I would like to also say the gameplay at the back, or you can see here, isn't actually at all relevant to what I'm talking about. I just thought I'd throw some gameplay up and make of it as you do. I do play on Xbox, so you will have to excuse that. So DPS is a very rewarding character, or they're very rewarding heroes to play. The reason being, you get kills. Overwatch is marketed as a 6v6 FPS shooter, or first-person shooter, sorry. So people will want to play this game, and they want to go to play kills. Now, DPS really is the main hero that you would get in 70 to 80% of games. They'll end up your 2, 3, 4, 5 DPS, maybe even 6 in some games. They will end up, well, obviously if it's 6, but with 5, or say we'll take the average, so we'll take 2 or 3. They should be really the 2 or 3 heroes that are bronze, silver, gold with eliminations, because these are the characters, basically your DPS, that are responsible for getting kills. Now, there are some games where maybe your DPS you would like them to be getting more involved in the kills than maybe they are, but again, that is out of our control. They are very rewarding to play though, you know. I'm not a general DPS player myself, I don't force myself into playing tanks and healer, I just prefer playing them roles, it's my personal preference. Now, they are very rewarding, you know, it is very rewarding to sit there in front of your monitor, in front of your whatever you're playing on, and get kills. Walk around, shooting things, killing, because it's a first-person shooter. People are going to be coming over from Overwatch, maybe say from Battlefield or Halo or Call of Duty, and they're going to want to play, they're going to want to shoot. Okay, but what people don't understand is Overwatch, unfortunately, isn't quite the same first-person shooter as Call of Duty or any of them type of games. The biggest FPS game. So we'll just take Call of Duty for example. You know, this is a team-based actually no, I would class Overwatch as an objective team-based shooter. Yes, you shoot, but there are heroes that maybe don't shoot, and that's probably why some people do avoid them. But we'll move on to the next reason why people play DPS. They feel important. They want to have they are seen as the people that have the biggest impact on the game. You know, they have the people in the chat, you know, your DPS goes and they get a huge, like, 5-man kill with Soldier. Everyone in the chat will go, oh yeah, huge Soldier, huge. You know, I'll do it myself because it is a very huge ult. But say compared to maybe a tank that may or a Reinhardt that may get a 6-man shatter, people will sit there and they'll say huge to the soldier, but they won't say huge to the tank, or maybe even the healer that healed them through it. So I mean, DPS are the most appreciated hero type in the game, which will probably draw some people towards them because DPS is fun and you get a lot of kills. That is one of the main reasons why people play the DPS. Moving on to the third reason, DPS is fun. You know, you can walk around, you can kind of do whatever the hell you want, and, you know, as much as we don't want you to, as long as you're getting kills, then, you know, kills are the most important thing in this game. And if you're not killing people, then you're not going to win the fight. So DPS are very important within a team comp, you know, as much as they're important as the rest of the team heroes, as important as your healers and your tanks. You know, you probably wouldn't win a game with, or you'd struggle to get enough DPS out. Say if you had the 4 healers and 2 tanks, you know, you can get away with having quite a heavy tank matter because they are very good at brawling at the point. But if you're trying to get that pick, then you really do need the DPS to go and get that pick, which is kind of why people do like to play them, because they're fun to play. And maybe some people say, how can you play tank and healer all the time? It's very boring, which is a matter of opinion. But DPS, what I'm trying to say here is DPS is one of these roles. DPS is one of these roles that is they attract a lot of people. You know, DPS, oh, guns, shooting, killing, great. I'd love to do that. But unfortunately, we do see people who maybe we sit there and say, maybe you shouldn't be playing DPS. But unfortunately, there's a lot of reason. Most of the reason why people choose to play DPS is because it's fun and, you know, it's very rewarding. You know, when you're playing DPS, you sort of get caught up in your own bubble. You're kind of sat there and you're going, oh my lord, you know, we're in this. You're captured in this bubble where it's difficult to explain. You kind of get caught up in your own self-esteem. You know, you play a game of DPS, you do absolutely amazing. You get a 5-man kill on soldier, and at the end of the game you might lose, but you'll go, it doesn't matter, I played well, I got a 5-man kill with soldier. And it does kind of help your SR. You know, that is another reason why people may choose to play DPS. DPS players find it easier to gain SR, and also don't lose as much SR for a loss. You know, if your team have got a very bad tank or a very bad healer, the DPS probably won't have too much of a problem as long as they're getting enough kills and objective time and accuracy that kind of correlates to on average or above average for their rank. Their SR is going to be a lot greater for a win and a lot less harsh for a loss compared to maybe a tank who couldn't set up their shield like a Reinhardt or Orisa. Just take Orisa here, for example. If I was to lose here, which I think I might actually lose this one, even though they only have 5 people. Actually, no, I might win this one because they only have the 5 people. There are people talking in voice comms, but I don't believe you can actually hear them because I haven't picked up the voice comms, and I'm not really looking to pick up the voice comms in particular. Voice comms is a whole different other video. But, you know, DPS are... The SR is a lot more lenient on them compared to tank and healer, which is bad for some people like me, because, you know, if I have a bad team comp that won't group up, I'm obviously not going to be able to get enough from the shield, and I'm dying quite a lot. Whereas if you're a DPS, you run in, get say 3 kills, and you die, you keep doing that, you're going to be in a pretty good place, and you won't get as much harsh SR loss. Healers probably do get the most SR loss, you know, on average, because if your team's not performing well, and they're all out of position, you're not going to be able to heal them, and you'll get bad SR. So that is another reason why people may choose to play DPS. The SR in competitive does very much help them out. But now we're going to move on to the very slight... There might be a few reasons I can think of why people might not want to play, or might avoid playing DPS in competitive. Number one, they never get the chance to do so. There are some people, you know, there are some DPS players out there who might like playing DPS, but never get the chance to do so. They might always feel forced upon playing a tank or a healer. Now, the one thing I'd suggest when playing a tank or a healer here in Overwatch Competitive is, if you're, say, a DPS player, and at your level you only really play DPS, and at DPS your DPS SR might differ a lot more compared to maybe an SR you'd get playing a tank or a healer. For example, if you're playing a lot of Soldier 76, for example, and then you try in one game say, oh, I'm actually going to play a Reinhardt, they're two completely different heroes. Their positioning is completely different, which is why some people might avoid playing DPS, is basically because they never get the chance to do so. I mean, they wouldn't be avoiding it as such, but they might not get the opportunity to do so, if you can get what I'm getting at right now. Let me think. Another reason why people might want to play DPS, they're not mechanically gifted enough to do so. If they go onto Overwatch and they say, you know what, I just can't get the hang of this aiming thing, whether you're on console or whether you're on PC, they're sat there and they're going, you know what, I just can't get the hang of this aiming malarkey. My aim isn't good enough. Then you'd probably go ahead and avoid playing DPS. You'd probably go and play maybe a tank, you know, maybe you might play Reinhardt, or maybe you'll play Winston, or maybe you'll play a healer, where aiming isn't necessarily as important as it is for DPS, because your role is something entirely different. You know, my aiming is, I wouldn't say it's bad, because if I sat there and played DPS for like 3 or 4 seasons in a row, then my aiming would probably be pretty good. And I might even be a higher SR, because I can somewhat, as some people refer to say, carrying games, even though I don't really agree with the word carry, because, you know, without your tanks and your healers, you probably wouldn't have got all them eliminations you got anyway. But if you go onto a DPS and your aiming isn't there, then it's probably best to just avoid them and play something else where your role is completely different. And, you know, every character has some sort of aiming, I guess. I mean, Mercy, kind of. Symmetra, not really. Well, kind of, may, no. Symmetra, not really. Her primary fire isn't to do with aiming. But if they do have bad aim, you know, generally from FPS games, you know, if you want to play an FPS shooter but you're not so good at aiming, then Overwatch would be a very good one for you, because you have heroes here that maybe don't require as much aiming as other more hardcore FPS shooters would. But apart from that, I can't really think of any other reasons why people wouldn't want to play DPS, you know, apart from not having the capacity to do so, and, you know, not being mechanically skilled enough to do so. I mean, there's some sort of somewhat game knowledge, but, you know, game knowledge is, you know, that's something you get over time. You know, that if you played enough Soldier 76, for example, you would eventually work out that maybe I'd be better on the high ground, where there's a higher possibility I will hit headshots, compared to maybe I'd be better off on the low ground, where everyone can shoot me. And yeah, you know, DPS kind of should always be on the high ground as such. You know, especially the hit scan heroes, unless you're a Genji or a Tracer, or a Mei there, or a Torb, or a Doomfist, or a Reaper, or a Song. Okay, it's only really the hit scan players that would want to be up in the air. But, you know, there is some sort of game knowledge that you might avoid to play. You might avoid playing DPS, but I think it is kind of one of those where you play DPS, you play a hero long enough, you'll get to know what you should and shouldn't be doing to do, or what you should and shouldn't be doing with them. But again, that is another video entirely, or no, a couple of videos entirely, with actual game knowledge rather than mechanical skill. But I think that's where we're going to leave it then for DPS today. What can we sum up from today? People play DPS because A, they're fun, B, it's an FPS shooter, and people want to play heroes that shoot, and C, they just want to play DPS. You know, it's very self-rewarding. You know, you feel good about it, regardless whether you win or lose, because you've gone on there you've got kills, and you don't give a crap about anything else. Why you might not play DPS? Let's be honest, in this day and age, there's a lot of very good DPS players that may have had to transfer themselves over to a tank or over to a healer because the game has forced them to do so in their bad matchmaking, which is, again, a completely another different video. There's a lot of things wrong with Overwatch, okay? There's a lot of things that people don't know. But let's be honest, it's the best first-person shooter game on the market right now. And hopefully it stays like that. And hopefully we see it do very well in the esports as it has done so already. But that is where we are going to leave this one then, guys. If you did enjoy the video, do not forget to drop a like on the video. Drop a comment down below. If you are a DPS player, why did you choose to play DPS? If you're not a DPS player, why don't you choose to play DPS? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I will be replying to all comments left on the video regardless of the platform you're seeing it on. If you haven't done so already, also remember, if you don't want to miss an upload, do go and drop the subscribe button. I will be making more regular Overwatch videos, as well as other stuff, and obviously keeping up with my FIFA videos as well. Make sure you do hit the notification bell, seeing as sub boxes have been messed up for quite a while, and you wouldn't want to miss out on this high quality content, let's be honest. And that's about it. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.